Got it.
So today Pallu is going to read, okay? Nor shall we deal.
Shall I start?
Yes, start. Okay, read the para.
Nor shall we deal in any other spirit with the element of philosophical dogma or religious creed which either enters into the Gita or hangs about it owing to its use of the philosophical terms and religious symbols current at the time.
Yeah.
When the Gita speaks of Sankhya and Yoga, we shall not discuss beyond the limit of what is just essential for our statement. The relations of the Sankhya of the Gita with its one Purusha and strong Vedantic coloring to the non-theistic Sankhya has come down to us, bringing with it its scheme of many Purushas and one Prakriti. Nor of the Yoga of the Gita, many-sided, subtle, rich, and flexible, to the theistic doctrine and the fixed scientific, rigorously defined and graded system of the Yoga of Patanjali. In the Gita, the Sankhya and Yoga are evidently only two convergent parts of the same Vedantic truth, or rather, two concurrent ways of approaching its realization. The one philosophical, intellectual, analytical, the other intuitional, devotional, practical, ethical, synthetic, reaching knowledge through experience. The Gita recognizes no real difference in their teachings. Still less need we discuss the theories which regard the Gita as the fruit of some particular religious system or tradition. Its teaching is universal, whatever may have been its origin.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the para. Now we'll go into detail. So what basically he's saying in the para is that we will not go into too many details of philosophy and all that, and nor will we say that it is springing from this and springing from that, because its application can be universal. Of course, its origin is the Mahabharata. Okay, in the Mahabharata, when the Kurukshetra war is going to start, we all know that Arjuna tells Krishna, "Take my chariot in the middle. I want to see who are my enemies." Okay, and then he takes it and places it in the middle of the two armies, one on front and one at the back. He takes his chariot, and there he sees all his own relatives. My God, my grandfather, my uncles, my cousins, my in-laws, my cousins. How can I kill all these people? Impossible. And then he starts trembling with nervousness and drops his bow and says, "I will not fight." Then starts the Gita. Then Sri Krishna, and it's interesting because if you recite the Gita from the first to the last 18 chapters, it takes about 2 hours. Okay, so now is this is it is symbolic, all these things. Now is the other warriors going to wait for 2 hours? So it's not physical. So for 2 hours he explains to him. Okay, but the it's not a question of time. He explains to him how he has to fight in the physical world, okay, and not have any moral ideas. Okay. The Gita provides for everything, for the ordinary living, for the moral living, for the spiritual living. Everything it provides. That's what he has said. Now, we go into each sentence. Nor shall we deal in any other spirit with the element of philosophical dogma or religious creed which either enters into the Gita or hangs about it owing to its use of its philosophical terms and religious symbols current at that time. What was current at that time may not be applicable now in that, because that was 5,000 years ago. Okay, so that's the first thing. Secondly, look at his language. He's saying, which either enters into the Gita. In other words, there is no philosophical dogma, nor is there any religious creed in the Gita. That's very interesting because the Christians are saying that the Gita is Hindu. Okay, we don't accept it. It is Hindu. We are Christians. We don't accept it. But that's precisely what Sridhar is saying. It is nothing Hindu. It is something universal. It is applicable to everybody. Okay. They reject even the yoga. Islam and Christianity reject even yoga. They say, no, this is Hindu. It is not Hindu. It is nothing to do with Hindu. In fact, there is no such thing as Hinduism. Okay, so this is what he's saying. So we will not go into the philosophical dogmas, although he will refer to Sankhya. We'll look at Sankhya very, very briefly, the main ideas, what the Sankhya says. Okay. So he says, don't read any limitations into the Gita. He's saying which either enters into the Gita or hangs about it owing to its use of philosophical terms. Because they use Purusha, Prakriti, then they also use the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. These are all terms used in the Sankhya. And the Gita uses them because they are valid at a certain level. Okay, so and religious symbols current at that time. Now, when the Gita, tell me.
No, the Sankhya Yoga has come from the Gita. No, it is not before.
No.
Yes.
Sankhya is quite independent.
Okay.
Sankhya is independent, and since the Gita has used it, it must have been even before that. Or maybe contemporary. We don't know. In India, we have not a very good historical sense. Dates and all that, we don't care. Because in our view, in the Hindu view, in the rather Indian view, time is endless. Where does it begin? Where does it end? It has no importance. And all the small events, they are only small things on the way. They are events on the way. There is no fundamental importance to any of these things. The historical sense is largely lacking in India in the earlier days. Okay, so this is what he's saying. Now we come to the Gita. When the Gita speaks of Sankhya and Yoga, okay. Now, when the Gita speaks of Sankhya, they are referring to the philosophy of Sankhya. And when he is speaking of Yoga, it is 90%. It is a Karma Yoga. Okay, so we shall. I'll come to that later on because it goes. He discusses that in the next 2-3 paragraphs. We'll come to that. So we shall not discuss beyond the limits of what is just essential for our statement the relations of the Sankhya of the Gita. In other words, the Sankhya in the Gita is slightly different, okay, from the original Sankhya. We'll discuss that, okay. So, note the words, relations of the Sankhya of the Gita, okay, with one Purusha and strong Vedantic coloring to the non-theistic or atheistic Sankhya that has come down to us, bringing with it a scheme of many Purushas and one Prakriti, nor of the yoga of the Gita, many-sided, subtle, rich and flexible, to the theistic doctrine and the fixed, scientific, rigorously defined and graded system of the yoga of Patanjali. So, what he is saying is that, yes, it is using yoga of Patanjali, it is also using the words used in the Sankhya, but it has made it relevant to its own outlook of things. It is not the original Sankhya, nor is it the original Patanjali Yoga. Okay. Patanjali Yoga is very, very clear. There are 8 steps, and they are very, very fixed steps. Okay. And the Yama, Niyama, Asanas, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. This is the Yoga of Patanjali. Okay, very, very detailed description is there, and you follow it very rigorously. But the Gita is not like that, because the Gita introduces also Jnana, Bhakti, and also Karma. It's quite different from the Yoga of Patanjali, and also the Sankhya philosophy. So let me tell you briefly 2 main ideas in the Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya philosophy says there are 2 basic fundamental realities. One is consciousness and one is force, Chit and Shakti. And they are different. They are not different in the Advaita. They are one at the highest level, because the Sankhya does not go to that highest level. They stop at the spiritual planes of consciousness where they are seen as separate. And all who go to the spiritual planes of consciousness in the second level, if you want, they see Purusha and Prakriti as separate. The world is separate and the spirit is separate. Okay. So, matter and spirit are totally unconnected. That's the Sankhya philosophy. But they come together. Okay. Creation is done when they touch each other and they come in contact with each other. So there is one Purusha and one Prakriti in the Advaita, but in the Sankhya philosophy, the Purushas are many, infinite. Each one is a Purusha. Okay? Because your consciousness is different from somebody else's consciousness. The proof of that is that if you get liberation, I'm not getting liberation. So, because at that level of at the spiritual planes of consciousness, there is a difference between all your consciousnesses. So the Sankhya philosophy says many Purushas, but one Prakriti. The Advaita does not admit that, nor does the Gita admit that. Okay, it says that there is only one Purusha and only one Prakriti. Okay, and they are same at the highest level. Okay, that's the first difference. There are other differences also which we will read now. Okay, no. So if he's also saying non-theistic and theistic. We have to understand these terms. Okay, so I go back to when the Gita speaks of Sankhya and Yoga, we shall not discuss beyond the limits of what is just essential for our statement. What is our statement? Our idea is the integral yoga. So whatever is essential and relevant to our statement, we will do that, not more than that. The relations of the Sankhya of the Gita with its one Purusha and strong Vedantic coloring to the non-theistic and atheistic Sankhya, okay, or atheistic. So, first of all, the one Purusha is in the Gita, okay. There is only one consciousness. The supreme consciousness is only one. It seems to be divided at the lower levels, but the Gita does not admit that. Essentially, it is one. Okay. So, now note the words non-theistic or theistic. So in Sankhya, there is no idea of God as a person. It's only planes of existence. Okay. Planes of Ananda, plane of power, plane of consciousness, plane of peace. These are the impersonal aspects. Sankhya is a non-theistic philosophy. Okay, but it's a dualistic philosophy. The ultimate reality is twofold, Purusha and Prakriti. Both are independent principles, but they come together for creation. Whereas in the Gita, they are not two principles, they are one at the highest level. They seem to be different at the lower levels. Okay? And note the word non-theistic or theistic. Why? Because there is, in Sankhya itself, like in all philosophical systems, they break up into different things. Na? Take Christianity. Okay, it is broken up into about 7 or 8 schools. Okay, there is all sorts of small. First of all, there is the Protestant and the Catholic. Yeah. Then after that, there are many others. There is this branch, that branch. In Pondicherry, we even have a Seventh-day Adventist church. So there are many. It is broken up into many things. What about Islam also? You have the Sunnis and the Shias. Okay, and even there are many divisions. So in the Gita also there are 2 divisions: Seshwara and non-theistic. Okay, Seshwara means they believe that there is a supreme God. Okay, there are 2 branches of the Sankhya also. Okay, Nirishwara and Seshwara. Nirishwara, there is no God. There are only planes of consciousness. And Seshwara, Sa Ishwara, there is a supreme God. There also it is broken up into 2. Okay, so and I read further. Okay, Yoga of the Gita. He is referring. The Yoga of the Gita is separate from Patanjali Yoga. Okay, I told you just now, Patanjali Yoga, if you go to the internet, you will see 8 very clear steps. Okay, and you follow that. Very rigidly you follow that. Okay. Srimad Yoga also is not rigid. It caters to all the individual variations, and each individual will be given his instructions accordingly. Okay, so it's different. I go to the next one. In the Gita, the Sankhya and Yoga are evidently only 2 convergent parts of the same Vedantic truth, or rather 2 concurrent ways of approaching the realization. They are approaching the ultimate truth in 2 different paths, but they will end up in the same. Okay. The Vedantic truth is the Vedanta is Satchidananda is the ultimate reality. There is only one ultimate reality. Okay, that's it. Or rather 2 concurrent ways. Concurrent means existing together. One approaches from this side, one approaches from that side. Okay, so our approaching realization, the one philosophical, intellectual, analytical. The one he is referring to, philosophical, intellectual, analytical, is Sankhya. Okay. The other, okay, intuitional, devotional, practical, ethical, and synthetic, reaching knowledge through experience. So, experience refers to Karma Yoga. So, you get knowledge, Jnana Yoga, but through Karma Yoga. Okay. Whereas in Sankhya, it is only Jnana Yoga. Okay. So it goes through only Jnana. Clear? These are the differences. So, although the Gita uses both yoga of Patanjali as well as the Sankhya philosophy, they are not the same. They are little different. The Gita recognizes no real difference in their teachings because at different levels they are true. Both of them are true. Okay. Still less need we discuss the theories which regard Gita as the fruit of some particular religious system or tradition. In other words, don't take the Gita in a religious sense. Very clearly, he is saying that it is beyond religion. It is something that is universal. Anyone can practice it. Okay? Its teaching is universal. Whatever may have been its origins, the origin is in the Mahabharata, okay? And the Mahabharata ideas are all basically the Advaitic ideas. But you have to go beyond that. Okay? Very clear. He is warning you that we won't go into too many dogmas, philosophical dogmas. This is only truth, that is only truth. No. We'll go far beyond that. And we'll use the Gita for practical purposes. We won't go too much into philosophy. Okay, clear, na? So the last sentence is the climax. Its teaching is universal. Don't associate it with any philosophy or even religion. Okay? Whatever may have been its origins. We go to the next para. Who will read?
Okay, I'm
Any?
reading,
Oh,
Ranganath.
okay, go ahead.
Uh,
Archanadi.
the philosophical system of the Gita, its arrangement of truth, is not that part of its teaching which is the most vital, profound, eternally durable. But most of the material of which the system is composed, the principal ideas, suggestive and penetrating, which are woven into its complex harmony, are eternally valuable and valid. For they are not merely the luminous ideas or striking speculations of a philosophic intellect, but rather enduring truths of spiritual experience, verifiable facts of our highest psychological possibilities, which no attempt to read deeply the mystery of existence can afford to neglect. Whatever the system may be, it is not, as the commentators strive to make it, framed or intended to support any exclusive school of philosophical thought or to put forward predominantly the claims of any one form of yoga. The language of the Gita, the structure of thought, the combination and balancing of ideas belong neither to the temper of a sectarian teacher nor to the spirit of a rigorous analytical dialectics cutting off one angle of the truth to exclude all the others. But rather, there is a wide, undulating, encircling movement of ideas which is the manifestation of a vast synthetic mind and a rich synthetic experience. This is one of those great syntheses in which Indian spirituality has been as rich as in its creation of the more intensive, exclusive moments of knowledge and religious realization that follow out with an absolute concentration, one clue, one path to its extreme issues. It does not cleave asunder, but reconciles and unifies.
Srimdo, that last sentence is very interesting because Srimdo always wants a synthetic outlook. He does not want an exclusive outlook. Christianity, Islam are all exclusive. They exclude the many ideas. Okay, in Christianity is very narrow. You can't approach God through any other except the Christian religion. So that is very, very exclusive. Okay, so this is what Srimdo is saying, that the Gita is not exclusive. It is rather inclusive, and he is explaining to you. Okay, so we'll go to that. And just because of his, he insists so much on synthesis. He says the first synthetic movement was the Vedas. Okay, the Second synthetic Veda, the Gita also is synthetic. Then Tantra also is synthetic. And my own philosophy also is synthetic. It does not reject any truth at any lower level. It admits it as true at its own level. That's why it is synthetic. Okay. And how Gita is synthetic, we will see. It combines several syntheses. It combines Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga. Okay. That is one way. That's why it is synthetic. It does not exclude any. Even philosophically also, it includes also Advaita as well as Vedanta. Sorry, Sankhya. It admits Sankhya's truth as well as Advaita, although they are opposites in some sense. One is dualistic and one is monotheistic. So, now we'll go back to what he's saying. The philosophical system of the Gita. He has told you that we will not go too much into philosophy. Now he is discussing the philosophy, what will be our approach. The philosophical system of the Gita, its arrangement of truth, is not that part of his teaching which is the most vital, profound, eternally durable. Okay? It is not that. It gives a certain amount of philosophy, Purusha, Prakriti, and all these things, and the three modes of nature, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, all this is discussed. But that is not big. Gita is mainly practical. How to reach. It goes so far as to even tell you how to sit. Okay, he says you must sit, and it goes even so far as to say where you should sit. It should be a seat which is neither too high nor too low, and it should be a soft one. At that time, there was no silk or no Dunlop pillow, but there used to be grass, kusha grass. Okay, so you do that, and you put a tiger skin on top or whatever, neither too low nor too high. If it is too high, you may fall down if you are not in this physical consciousness. And if it is too low, you may be disturbed by insects and even floods, like in Pondicherry now and everywhere. So it goes into such detail, very, very practical. Okay, that is how you should sit. Then your spine should be absolutely vertical. You should not bend over. So it goes into such details. Okay, and how to breathe, how to. This is the practical aspect is the most important part of the Gita. Okay, that's why it can be practiced by anybody. So, which is not the most profound, eternal, durable. But most of the material of which the system is composed, the principal ideas, suggestive and penetrative, which are woven into its complex harmony. Note the complex harmony, because it is neither Jnana Yoga, nor Bhakti Yoga, nor Karma Yoga. It is all three. Okay, are eternally valid, valuable, and valid. For they are not merely the luminous ideas or striking speculations of a philosophical intellect, but rather enduring truths of spiritual experience, verifiable facts, very, very practical, of our highest psychological possibilities. Note the word highest psychological possibilities, okay, which no attempt to read deeply the mystery of existence can afford to neglect. Anyone who wants to understand the reality of the physical world, the reality of what man is, the reality of what the ultimate reality is, he has to understand through the Gita. The Gita is essential for that. Okay. Whatever the system may be, it is not, as the commentators strive to make it, framed or intended to support any exclusive school of philosophical thought or to put forward predominantly the claims of any one form of yoga. Okay. This is very interesting because the Gita is something so fantastically important in Indian thinking and practice that everybody has commented on it. Beginning from Shankara, 8th century AD, and then later on in Maharashtra, all these, the saints, Eknath, okay, then Jnaneshwar, okay, there are so many others, many saints, many of them have commented on the Gita. These commentaries are all available. Okay. And finally, you have even modern times, there is even our, the one who, Lokmanya Tilak, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Even he has commented, and he he gives a hint. He says that Tilak says it is Karma Yoga. Okay, but it's not only Karma Yoga; it is all. Okay, so he's saying that we will not approach it in a exclusive sense. We will include everything. Okay, so whatever the system may be, it is not, as the commentators strive to make it, framed or intended to support any exclusive school of philosophical thought or to put forward predominantly the claims of any one form of yoga. Okay. The language of the Gita, the structure of thought, the combination and balancing of ideas belong neither to the temper of a sectarian teacher. A sectarian teacher is one who insists only on one sect, okay, a divided, exclusive way of looking at things, nor to the spirit of a rigorous analytical dialectics. It is not only philosophy, it is practical. Okay, so cutting off one angle of the truth to exclude all others. Okay, but rather there is a wide, undulating, encircling movement of it. Look at the language. Okay, really enjoy that. Wide, undulating, like waves. There are no clear distinctions. Okay, all there is truth everywhere. Okay, undulating like waves, encircling. It includes everything. Okay, movement of ideas, which is the manifestation of a vast synthetic mind and a rich synthetic experience. Not only synthetic mind of knowledge, but also synthetic experience. This is one of those great syntheses in which Indian spirituality has been as rich as its creation of the more intense exclusive movements of knowledge and religious realization that follow out with an absolute concentration, one clue, one path to its extreme issues. In India, we have examined both the ways. One is inclusive of all, and Sri Aurobindo integral philosophy is the most inclusive of all. And finally, you have all the other systems also, each one exploring only one direction. Okay, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga. You have all these so many different Vaishnava only through devotion. Each one has been explored. In one letter, Sri Aurobindo says that after all, India has done 100 times more than any other country in the field of yoga. Okay, to such an extent you will be surprised. Okay, that even Ravana is worshipped in some places. Okay, because he had divine qualities. Okay, he had great power and great knowledge. Okay? He was a great sadhu that way. Intense concentration he had done. Then there is also another system which is, I don't know if it exists now, but there is one where your attitude to God should be obedience and surrender. And in the animal world, which is that which is the most obedient and surrendering? A dog. So they actually go on for two legs and two hands, okay, to imitate that. So, what I'm mentioning is, it may be ridiculous, but every path has been explored in India. That's why it is so rich. Okay. This, and even take even the Jain philosophy, they go to the extent of renunciation. Okay, renunciation means don't be attached to any one idea or anything, even physical things. They go to the extent of even rejecting their clothes. Okay, so exclusive a path. So everything has been explored in India. Okay, so this is one of those great syntheses in which Indian spirituality has been as rich as its creation of the more intensive, exclusive movements of knowledge and religious realization that follow out with an absolute concentration, one clue, one path to its extreme issues. That also exists in India, and the inclusive paths also exist in India. It does not cleave. The word cleave is very interesting in English. Cleave means to hang on to something exclusively, but it also means to cut.
Cut.
Yeah, it means to cleave also to cut. So this is one of those rare words in English which both the opposite meanings are valid. Okay, that's cleave. Okay, but it's interesting because in Sanskrit, almost huge number of words depends on the context. They can take absolutely different connotations. They can be absolutely opposite in meaning. It surprises me. You have to see the context and then you understand. Okay, so it does not cleave asunder, but reconciles and unifies. This is one of the specialities of the Gita. It unifies and reconciles. It does not reject. Okay? So, we go to one more para. It's not a very big one. We can read it.
The thought of the Gita is not pure monism, although it sees in one unchanging, pure, eternal self, the foundation of all cosmic existence, nor Mayavada, although it speaks of the Maya of the three modes of Prakriti, omnipresent in the created world. Nor is it qualified monism, although it places in the one his eternal supreme Prakriti, manifested in the form of the Jiva, and lays more stress on dwelling in God rather than dissolution as the supreme state of spiritual consciousness. Nor is it Sankhya, although it explains the created world by the double principle of Purusha and Prakriti. Nor is it Vaishnava theism, although it presents to us Krishna, who is the avatar of Vishnu, according to the Puranas, as the supreme deity and allows no essential difference, nor any actual superiority of the status of the indefinable relationless Brahman over that of this Lord of beings, who is the master of the universe and the friend of all creatures. Like the earlier spiritual synthesis of the Upanishads, this later synthesis, at once spiritual and intellectual, avoids naturally every such rigid determination as would injure its universal comprehensiveness. Its aim is precisely the opposite to that of the polemist commentators who found this scripture established as one of the three highest Vedantic authorities and attempted to turn it into a weapon of offense and defense against other schools and systems. The Gita is not a weapon for dialectical warfare. It is a gate opening on the whole world of spiritual truth and experience, and the view it gives us embraces all the provinces of that supreme reason. It maps out, but it does not cut up or build walls or hedges to confine our vision.
Yeah. So that's a para. Okay. So he is explaining in this para how it is synthetic and not exclusive. It is not even pure monism. Okay. Even the Advaita also, it does not say that that's the only truth. It goes into the Sankhya also is the truth. All the other paths also are truths at different levels. If the truth is only one, okay, then it cannot be inclusive. So it is inclusively one. That's what he's pointing out. So we'll go through. We have time. Okay, we have got about 10 minutes. So I'll go through. I think we can finish it. The thought of the Gita is not pure monism. What is monism? The
One.
ultimate reality is one. And what is that? The whatever it be. Okay, in it could be God. Okay, that means only one element is the ultimate truth. It does not necessarily refer only to the Advaita. Advaita means exactly that, not two. Advaita. So, but Gita says even Purusha Prakriti truth is real, so it does not. It's not pure monism. Although it sees in one unchanging, pure, eternal self the foundation of all cosmic existence. The self is the transcendent, and the Gita speaks about the transcendent. Okay, so and it creates a world. Nor is, where is it gone? Yeah, nor eternal self is foundation of all cosmic, nor Mayavada. Mayavada says the physical world is unreal. The Gita does not accept. Okay, although it speaks of the Maya of the three modes of Prakriti, omnipresent in the created world. Okay, so Maya is different in Mayavada. It means illusion. But in the Gita, it means more the Mayavada is that which actually hides the truth. Okay, it's like a magic that hides the truth. So, and what is hiding the truth? The three principles of Prakriti. Okay, what are the three principles of Prakriti? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Matter, life, and mind. These are the planes of consciousness which is hiding the truth. So that is what it goes to. Three modes of Prakriti, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Omnipresent in the created world. In the created world goes up to the mind. Above the mind is the uncreated, it starts at the uncreated level. Matter, life, and mind are the created world. So, And there you have all these three principles. Matter is tamas, vital is rajas, and the mind is sattva. And all these are there everywhere. This is a very interesting discussion by itself also in the Gita, because the Gita goes on to explore many, mm, uh, each thing it takes up and says, what is its nature? Is it sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic? It goes even into the your will, okay, your bhakti, even the giving of gifts. It can be all the three. It's a very interesting discussion. Very practical. Okay? Even when you give gifts, how can it be sattvic, rajasic, tamasic? So that is the. That's why he's mentioning the three modes of Prakriti, omnipresent creator. Nor is it qualified monism. Qualified monism, Vishishta Advaita, or it's also called a Bheda Bheda. Bheda Abheda, both are there. Qualified monism. He is referring to Ramanujan's philosophy, that it is possible to have a relation with the divine which implies dualism. You are different and God is different, but you can have a relation with them. But you can also become one with the divine. So that is Advaita philosophy. That's why there is Bheda, difference, as well as Abheda, no difference. So that's the qualified monism. Although it places in the one, by the way, we might as well know, Shankara's philosophy is Advaita. There is no difference. Everything is ultimately one. Even the individual soul is essentially divine. Okay. Whereas the Ramanujan, both are true. Both can be experienced. Okay. You can be different from the divine, and you can also be one with the divine. And what does Sri say? He says something very interesting. He says, even when you are one with the divine, you can have a relation. Fascinating. In the normal mind, it's impossible to imagine that. Na? How can you be one with somebody and yet love yourself? It comes to that. But that Sri says is possible. You can become one with the divine and yet love can be there. Okay. So that's what he's saying. So now we go to qualified monism. Although it places in the one his eternal supreme prakriti manifested in the form of a jiva. Jiva is the individual soul, and lays most stress on the dwelling in God. Okay. This is there in the Gita. Okay, he lives in me. That's the phrase that they use. Okay, rather than dissolution. Now note that. Mayavada philosophy, dissolution. Buddhism, dissolution. Completely your individual existence gets dissolved and goes away and becomes a wide ocean of emptiness. Okay. But the Gita, no. You live in the divine consciousness even as an individual. Okay. That's the difference. So neither is it monism, nor is it Mayavada, nor is it qualified monism, nor is it Sankhya, nor is it even Vaishnava theism. And what is Vaishnava theism? Before that, we go to Sankhya. Okay. So, nor is it Sankhya, although it explains the created world by the double principle of Purusha and Prakriti. He uses the idea of Purusha and Prakriti, but goes beyond that, beyond Sankhya. Nor is it Vaishnava theism. Vaishnava theism, the approach to God through love and devotion. Although it presents to us Krishna. Krishna is the basis of all Vaishnava philosophy. So, who is the avatar of Vishnu according to the Puranas as the supreme deity and allows no essential difference nor any actual superiority to the status of the indefinable relationless Brahman. Okay, this is the idea because the Jnana Yoga is often considered a path superior to Bhakti Yoga, because in Bhakti Yoga you have two. You have the lover and the loved. But in Jnana Yoga, there is only one. You become the divine. So that is considered often superior to the other one. But Gita says, Srila also does not admit that, nor does he admit that. The Gita also does not say that. Okay. Jnana Yoga is not necessarily superior to Bhakti Yoga. Okay. So actual superiority of the status of the indefinable, relationless Brahman. This is the Advaita philosophy, the Jnana Yoga path. Over that of this Lord of beings, who is the master of the universe and the friend of all creatures, the Lord of beings, who is the master of the universe and the friend of all creatures, the personal aspect of the divine. Okay. The Ishvara, or in Gita, is the Parameshvara. Okay. Uttama Purusha. Like the earlier spiritual synthesis of the Upanishads, this later synthesis, at once spiritual and intellectual, avoids naturally every such rigid determination as would injure its universal comprehensiveness. Okay. If you start saying that no, this is true and that is less true and this is more true, it will, look at the words, injure its universal comprehensiveness. Okay. In the Life Divine, he uses another phrase. He says, if you think of the divine as being limited, then you are sinning against its infiniteness. So here also injury. If you think of exclusivities in Gita, you are injuring its all comprehensiveness. You are injuring it. Okay, so he doesn't want that. But injury is universal comprehension. Its aim is precisely the opposite to that of the polemist commentators. A polemist is one who engages in controversies and debates. Polemics is the art of debating controversies. So the Gita does not go into polemics. It does not say this is true, that is not true. It does not do that. Okay? The word polemist is exactly that. Polemics is the noun, art of debating controversies. Okay. We go on to who found the Gita, who found this scripture established as one of the three highest Vedantic authorities. Okay. The Vedanta philosophy, Advaita, includes three things: the Upanishads, the Gita, and the Brahma Sutras of Badarayana. These three works are considered the Advaita philosophy. Okay. In fact, the Brahma Sutras of Badarayana are very difficult to understand. Even Sri Aurobindo comments on that. Okay, so they're not very easy. They are so cryptic that you have to go back to the original to see what is. The aphorisms are so condensed that you have to go to the detailed philosophy to understand the the meaning of what is being said. It's very interesting. I'm going to slightly a little bit of a humor. Okay, Nolida's translations in Bengali of some of his writings were considered so difficult that you have to read the original English to understand his Bengali. This is often said. Okay, so this is the truth of the Badarayana's commentaries also on the Advaita philosophy. Okay, so these three, so I'm mentioning that the three highest Vedantic authorities. I repeat, the Upanishads, the Gita, as well as the Brahma Sutras, the commentary of the Brahma Sutras. Brahma Sutra, Badarayana. Badarayana is probably nobody but Vyas. It's the same. Okay, so then he says, the Gita is not a weapon for dialectical warfare. Dialectics is the art of arguing for one principle against another principle and coming to a conclusion which overrides both this view and that view. Thesis, antithesis, and then you come to a compromise, that is dialectics. Okay, so this is the dialectical warfare. It is a gate opening onto the whole world of spiritual truth and experience, and the view it gives us embraces all the provinces of that supreme region. It's inclusive. It maps out but does not cut up or build walls and hedges to confine our vision. In fact, this last sentence is more maximum applicable to Sri Aurobindo himself. It maps out but does not cut up or build walls or hedges to confine our vision. So 8:36. We have crossed the time by 1 minute, but we can next time we can do there have been other syntheses. So okay.
Yes, yes.